That's me, a young car enthusiast in the making, taking his first steps into the automotive world.
I'm Alan, and as you may have guessed, I've become a little bit of a car enthusiast over the years. But how exactly did we get here, and what got me interested in these four-wheel automobiles? Well, buckle up as we take a trip down memory lane and take a deep drive into my automotive origin story.
It's like this.
All right, good.
Like many enthusiasts, I have to give a lot of credit to my dad for playing a major role in guiding me through the world of cars. While nowadays there are endless amounts of automotive content to choose from on the internet, my dad has been my automotive resource since the beginning.
The winter of 1993, and you see, I had this car for about 4 months now. I intend to keep it for a few years. We're gonna look at this picture as progressing as I change the rims, the tint on the window, the whole nine. So I'll get back at the car in the summer.
But unlike your typical father and son duo with a passion for cars, we didn't spend our weekends fixing up project cars or going to our local track day. And when we had to get rid of our XR4 Ti, we didn't even have any enthusiast cars for at least another decade or so. So I was acclimated into car culture in other ways. Early on, I was introduced to 80s classics like Back to the Future, and every night we would watch another episode of Knight Rider. I had endless amounts of fun playing with die-cast cars, RC cars, and especially video games.
I turn around.
Video game! Yay!
I was hooked on games like Midnight Club, Need for Speed. I spent hours leveling up in the Need for Speed Most Wanted, only for my saved game file to corrupt, and I lost all my progress before leveling up to Blacklist number 1. But that doesn't matter, it was still a lot of fun, and those memories continue to stick with me to this day. Just being in the Motor City has immersed me to some of the biggest car events in the world, especially the North American International Auto Show. From getting to hop inside potential dream cars before they're even released, all the way to the opposite end of the spectrum at classic car events, where I could appreciate cars of years past. Detroit is well known for the big 3 and 4 GM and Chrysler, so when it comes to my interest in the Subarus and the Japanese cars in general, I have my uncle to thank for that. Getting to ride inside his Blobeye and Hawkeye STIs were one of the first coolest experiences I've got to have in a car while still being old enough to remember. Unfortunately, I don't have many other pictures of his Subi besides this one, because he's the type of guy to think, why do we need pictures for memories when it's all up here? And even with all the right ingredients to become a full-blown car enthusiast, one key component was still missing. I had to be able to drive them. On my 16th birthday, I got my driver's license and unlocked my parents' 1999 Volkswagen Jetta that I had to share with my sister.
You can look
Well,
at my
can you fit,
teacher.
Alan? Can you fit?
Yeah. No. Are you going to go to grocery store and the restaurant? Yeah. Oh, I'll meet you there.
Eventually, my sister did end up getting her own car, basically leaving me exclusive access to the Jetta. But by that point, it had a plethora of problems, and I just continued to drive it until the wheels literally fell off. So now I was in the market for my first used car. And after dealing with that clunker, only one thing was on my mind. It had to be reliable. So my two main requirements were, one, it had to be a 2010 or newer so it could hopefully be a little bit more reliable, and two, it had to have a manual transmission because those are a lot of fun. But there was just one problem. I didn't know how to drive a manual car, and my mom wasn't fully on board with it yet because she thought that maybe I stall out in the middle of the freeway or something. Not sure how that's possible.
There you go.
Neutral.
Yep.
Why did it stall?
Because you were going too slow and the clutch wasn't in.
But we eventually came to the agreement that in order for me to get my manual transmission, I'd have to study from some YouTube tutorials. And that's where I discovered Automotive YouTube. The first car to catch my eye was this 2010 Kia Forte Coupe. And I still think this looks pretty cool to this day. However, I did end up walking away from that one because the listing was just a little bit sketchy. First, in their listing, they said the trunk had to be repaired from an accident, but didn't show any photos of it in their listing. Then in person, the trunk looked fine, but in the interior, there was some rust in some spots, especially on the electrical outlets, making me think this possibly could have been in a flood. So I walked away from it and ended up picking the most reliable car to ever cruise this planet, a 2010 Toyota Camry.
And this car was the definition of reliable. Never breaking down and barely needing any repairs. Plus, for a Camry, I think this car looked pretty nice without having too much rice. From the TRD wheels and exhaust tip to the halo headlight and RGB under the dash, this was the perfect first car.
Getting to drive a manual transmission on a daily basis really opened my eyes to just how fun driving could be without having to speed or break traffic laws. Just getting to perfect my technique from granny shifting to double clutching like I should really made my commutes a lot more fun. And during my time in college, my dad picked up a classic car of his own, a Lincoln Continental Mark VI. Then soon after, my dad began to do some YouTube videos on the car. And since I was already interested in photography and had worked on a variety of YouTube videos in the past, I was pretty eager to help out with the production. This was also the car that took me to my first Cars and Coffee, where I saw many other enthusiasts who share a strong passion for this hobby. And when I got my first full-time job with a little bit of money saved up, I made the poor financial decision and pulled the trigger on my own WRX STI. But I could have gone Evo, and that's because I have another uncle who owns an Evo 10, and I got the chance to drive it. Needless to say, it was pretty cool. So if I would have waited another couple of years or so and the STI also became discontinued, I probably would have missed out on my opportunity on this car as well. After owning an enthusiast level car, I felt more inclined and interested to learn more about how cars work. Then after enough research, I began to gain some confidence to begin doing some of my own basic maintenance and modifications. I also wanted to start incorporating my creative side, so I upgraded some of my equipment, bought some tools, and began documenting my automotive journey here on YouTube. My goal for the channel has been to contribute to the automotive industry by creating content that I find useful and easy to understand.
Show us your car. So what's that?
If you break the seat,
What's that right there?
a bird so you can get on. If you can get off, it stops. If you can get on, it goes.
My automotive journey is still ongoing, and I'm just living it 1/4 mile at a time.
What's your automotive origin story? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to check out a couple of my other videos or head back to the future by making sure you're subscribed for more automotive content.